time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Indeed it does, and great to have you with us on this Thursday edition of the show. Thank you, Chad Erickson, for that introduction. We got a lot to get to in the next 60 minutes. Dennis Bernstein of SiriusXM NHL Radio previews the playoffs with us. What can we expect to see? All about Washington and Winnipeg and everywhere in between, so we'll get into that. Talk with him. We'll also be joined by our good friend David Aardsma, because if it's a Thursday on SportsWrap, it's all about Major League Baseball. So we will talk about a whole litany of MLB items with our friend David Aardsma, Shadeur Sanders topic to get to, and a whole bunch more. But we start the show out in the NBA, and Sam Yarnell is here. There he is. I love that hoodie. I can't get enough of that Nationals hoodie. I love the color in that thing. We've got big color pops on the show today with me and my 2024 AL East All-Star jersey, and Sam in the Nats jersey. Did they lose? Yeah, they lost to the Pirates last night, didn't they? Yeah.
Jorge Lopez got ejected from the game.
I saw that. I saw he got ejected. So the Pirates got a win. But let's talk some basketball here, Sam. Mavericks and Bulls both advance to try and get the 8 seed and playing for the right to get mollywopped by the Thunder and the Celtics, respectfully. So Miami will get Atlanta tonight for that 8 seed in the East. Dallas is in Memphis against the Grizzlies. We'll see what's going on with John Morant and that ankle. They say he's going to be all right and he's going to play, but is he going to be 100% for the other 8th seed? And Sam, I've said this about the Mavericks all year, and I will continue to say it. This has been one of the most resilient teams, not just in basketball, but in all of sports, when you consider everything that has, sort of happened with this franchise and the players being able to put aside, the Luka Doncic deal, all the injuries, not being able to field enough guys, put enough guys on the court at some points during the season. It is amazing that they're even in a position to make the postseason. And granted, they're going to probably get their doors blown off, even if they win this game tonight in Memphis, by the Thunder. I'll tell you, though, if I'm the Thunder, I don't want to see the Grizzlies. Because that series, even though they'll probably win, I think they get beat up in that series. They probably have to work a lot harder to beat a Grizzlies team than they will this Mavericks team.
It's interesting, Jason. I mean, yeah, if you look back, obviously, to Wednesday night, a couple of things just quickly on the losing teams. For the Bulls, right, this is where they will end as long as Jerry Reinsdorf is their owner, because this is all he cares about, playing as many regular season games as possible, maybe being in contention for a playoff spot until about the last week of the season, and he'll break even from there, and he'll just make his money, and people will keep coming to games, as long as that's the case. On the Kings side, obviously the Levine DeRozan thing didn't work out the way that they had intended it to, which is kind of, if you'll remember back to the trade deadline, what I said when they made the trade. If it didn't work out in Chicago, who's to say that it's going to work out in Sacramento? And obviously it didn't. Looking ahead to Friday, so the Eastern game is interesting for me, right? Because you've got this Hawks team that is just so confusing to me. And a Heat team with obviously the turbulence that we talked about as recently as this week, this entire season. It seems like a no-sum gain kind of game. Like you said, winner will just get their doors blown off of them by Cleveland. In the West, I agree with you. I think that the Thunder would beat the Grizzlies, not necessarily in a short series, but you're talking about a Mavericks team that could take them to 6-7 games, easily.
You think the Mavericks? You still think the Mavericks can take the Thunder to 6 or 7 games?
If you get a healthy Anthony Davis, there's no question in my mind. A healthy Anthony Davis and a healthy Mavericks team around him, yeah, they could take him to 6. Again, don't think they have a chance at winning it, but they could tire him out real well. Then again, I just don't think that I believe that that'll be the matchup. I really think the Grizzlies are going to come out tonight and run around this Dallas team that is still somehow dealing with the Nico Harrison story. Not to say that it'll go away at any point, but for it to still be the main point of conversation around the Dallas Mavericks, kind of crazy to me and has to be a little bit distracting. That's how I'm seeing it, Jason. I just... It feels like 2 games on Friday that I'm just not going to care very much about, because whoever wins, they're just going to lose.
Yeah, that is probably very true. I was talking about it with our friend Kurt Heelan yesterday. I think, looking ahead past Friday, and I might have said these playing games were tonight. They're Friday. But, looking ahead to the weekend, because we're going to be off tomorrow, best of SportsWrap on Friday. I think the best shot, not that it would be a huge upset, but I think the Clippers beating Denver is the best shot you've got for an upset out there in the West in the opening round. And in the East, I got to tell you, man, Detroit scares me if I'm a Knicks fan. They're gonna, and talk about a series where the Knicks are gonna come out. Even if they win that series, I think the Knicks are gonna come out of that thing beat up as they potentially take on the Celtics. In a conference semifinals matchup. I think the Knicks are going to get beat up in that series against the Pistons, who are obviously going to be very tough for a 6-game series, maybe even a 7-game series, Sam.
Yeah, cover your ears, Jason Page, because I think I'm going to bet on the Pistons on the series price in that series, just because the odds are crazy. The Knicks are laying 2.5 games. The series price on the Pistons is like 3-1 thereabouts, so doesn't make any sense to me. Especially with a Knicks team, we know their history with Tibbs in the postseason. The only justification that I could say about the Knicks is, well, hey, think about when they got injured this year. It actually served as rest more than anything, and that's what a Tibbs team needs. You look at the West, though, and I'm going to go a different direction with my upset, obviously, because I've told you that I love the Nuggets. I'm not believing the Clippers hype that seems to have developed over the course of the last month. I'm going to go with the Rockets over the Warriors, which, if you look at the betting odds, isn't actually an upset. The Warriors are favored to beat the 2-seeded Rockets. I think that they can get it done. Listen, Jimmy and Steph have been playing so well, Jason. I don't see anyone stopping that, especially not a team that doesn't have a ton of playoff experience like Houston.
Yeah. Learning how to win, and that's the argument you make for the Knicks in that opening round series, is Detroit's going to have to learn how to win in very similar situations in Detroit and Houston with both of those teams. Still, Detroit scares the bejesus out of me. All right, we're coming back. We got more to do on the show. David Aardsma is going to hang out with us. We're going to talk Major League Baseball, get his thoughts on a whole bunch of items next. Welcome back to the show. It's a Thursday on SportsWrap, and that can only mean one thing. Talking Major League Baseball. Our friend David Aardsma is here. The former big league pitcher, our closer. Gives us a couple of segments. I'd do him the whole show if he didn't have so many other damn things on his plate.
It's nonstop.
Have him on the whole show. I'd have him on the whole show. Bench Sam for the day and bring in the closer. And Sam would be okay with that. Sam would be more than okay to take a day off. I know Sam well. He'd have no problem taking a day off. He can find plenty of things to keep himself busy. So, guys, let's talk. Aaron Judge hitting over 400, David Aardsma. It's hard to believe he keeps getting better as a hitter, and I think a lot of it has to do with plate discipline and his unwillingness to expand the strike zone, which sometimes you almost feel like he has to do because teams are going to pitch around him. Even when he's not hitting home runs, he hadn't hit one in like 10 games, he's still hitting for average. Last night, obviously, leading the Yankees to another win as they dismantle the Royals here over the last few days.
Well, yeah, I mean, over the last 7 games, he's hitting .545 with a .773 slug. Like, I guess when you're not hitting home runs every single up bat, you're kind of getting on base. But you hit it right on the head. When he doesn't chase And when he doesn't get out of the zone, he doesn't feel like he has to do too much. That's the dangerous. And that's when he is truly at his best, is when he keeps the pitcher in the zone. And that's the most dangerous type of hitter, is the guys that have power but are willing to let balls be out of the zone and just take and force you into a really good hitter spot. Like that's what makes anybody really good. And you're looking at guys like, there's going to be a crazy name, but Javier Baez, like he's doing a lot better job of that this year, not swinging pitches outside the zone. So if you want to talk about Aaron Judge, who's already really good, swinging at less pitches out of the zone, it's going to make him even greater.
David, obviously the Yankees leading their division right now at 11-7. The Arizona Diamondbacks are in 4th place in the NL West with the exact same record. What have you seen out of this division so far this season that has made them totally dominant from top to bottom? We can get into the teams in a second, but I mean the division as a whole, what are they doing besides the Rockies so effectively?
I was about to say top 2 just above the bottom. The 3 and 15 we'll just kind of rock that too. It's like, and that's crazy too, because the division hasn't even really seen the Rockies yet. You know, the one thing we saw about the AL Central last year with the White Sox being so bad is the other teams in the division reap the benefits of that by playing the White Sox, and we haven't really seen the rest of the division really play the Rockies yet. One, we knew the Padres were going to be a good baseball team. We just didn't know how great, right? Like, are they going to be like 500 great, or are they going to be 100 win great? And they're anywhere in between. You could just almost flip a coin. We know the Dodgers are going to be this incredible baseball team, and they basically are. The Giants too, like man for man on the Giants team, like they have the pieces. It just, could they put them together last year? Absolutely not. It just wasn't going right. And you know, the Diamondbacks, same thing. They've been perennially, for the last 3 years, a really good baseball team. Like last year, a little not as great, right? Just above 500. But in all reality, they think they had more wins than they had the year before when they went to the World Series. So there's a really good baseball teams up and down. It's just, especially with the Padres and Giants, we weren't sure what we were going to get. We didn't know, like Verlander, we didn't know what we were going to get out of the rest of the offense on the Giants. And the Padres, just could they mesh and actually be a good team? But I don't want to play any of these teams right now. And any of them. My only thing I got, this is it. Sure. This is my only caveat to all of this. With the schedule and with how the schedule is built, you see a lot of the same teams play the same teams. So a lot of these West teams are playing the exact same teams. They might be just beating up on the same teams that they all have great matchups with. Let's wait till we get into June, July, when they play each other and kind of see who actually becomes good out of this division.
You mentioned the White Sox, you know, and what happens when teams play the bad teams. And we mentioned the Rockies, who the Dodgers just beat up on. What's it like this early in the year, having no hope? How do you maintain some sort of positive outlook? I'm sure you've been on bad teams. If we went through your, there it is. If we went and scanned through the record books, which I'm sure Sam will sit there and do, and
I know which team he's thinking of already.
Well, talk about it. How do you battle through that, especially as a reliever where you're not even playing every day? How are you keeping your head in this thing mentally?
It is a delicate balance. It is very tough. And I've been on some very good teams. I've been on some very bad teams, but even the bad teams I've been on were supposed to be competitive. And then they became very bad. Like 2007 with the White Sox. I mean, 2005 was a World Series team. This is basically the same team with a couple different pieces in there. And we were just a brutal team. We were bad in spring training. We were bad during the regular season. First game of the year, we just got blown out, and it's like, we're done. So the focus becomes like your work every single day. Get your process done. Make sure you're ready. You're still playing for 29 other teams, especially if you don't have one of those, big contracts that they can't move. So you just become focused. You do the best you can every single day for you. And it's a tough mindset. It's not the best mindset, but at the end of the day, that's what it has to be, because no one's going to remember when they talk about your season. They're not going to remember, oh, that was a bad team. Like, you get a pass. No, that was a bad team because you're also on it. So go out there and be the best in your innings, and maybe that might motivate somebody else, and that might pick up something. Because a lot of the times the bad teams are actually just very streaky. It's just they just never could get over that bubble and believe in themselves.
Can you still have fun though? Like, is there any way to still have fun?
Yes, you just don't let your manager know. You don't show it. When you're getting beat, it does take a lot though. It's very stressful. It adds up over time, and a lot of times a good season by an individual player can get sucked into that hole of a bad team.
There's not a single bad team in the AL West, David. I know we talked about the Athletics maybe being better than people thought, but I don't think anyone saw this out of the Angels, and I don't think anyone saw the Astros being as bad as they've been. What have you seen quickly out of the AL West so far to start the season?
30 seconds, go.
Again, good baseball around. I believed in the Athletics even on here. I think I was talking about maybe they're a 500 team. Rangers are playing great baseball. They're like, be heads up. They're a great baseball team. Again, the Angels aren't a bad baseball team. They're also not a great baseball team. They're one game above 500. So like they have the pieces. And again, really with the Astros, it's like same thing as last year. Who are you? What's your identity? And who are you going to rally behind? Because it can't just be Altuve every single year.
I want to ask David about lat strains because he's a former pitcher. So I'm sure he knows a thing or two about lat strains because there's a certain prominent pitcher for the Yankees that's dealing with one, and Clayton Kershaw getting ready to come back. Talk to him about that as well. Don't go anywhere. Lots more baseball with David Aardsma next. Welcome back to a Thursday Sports Wrap. Still talking baseball. We've bolted David Aardsma to the chair, but I think he likes it. He hangs out with us every week, so I think he's into that sort of thing.
You guys are okay. Sam's great.
Yeah.
You're okay.
Wow.
That's my guy. That's my guy right there. That's my guy.
You gotta help him out, man.
Somebody has to like him
best.
Somebody has to like him best. So let's talk lat strains. Luis Gil is dealing with one, and he's slow in coming back. It's kind of slowed him. From a pitching standpoint, how difficult is it to rehab something like that? Had you ever had one?
I never had a lat strain. Let's not forget like another guy in New York, Frankie Montas, as Zach Eflin. These guys are all dealing with lat strains. Some of these East Coast guys. There's a ton of them, right? And there's a lot more players dealing with them than even the top guys. So lat strain, obviously, getting right down here. When you do a pull up, when you do a pull down, that's where you're going to feel it. In rotational athletes, so a pitcher especially and a hitter, it pulls on the side usually of your glove side. So a lot of times these guys use their glove and pull down, and that's where they feel that lat strain. I was never really a pull down guy. I was kind of a throw through guy, so I never dealt with a lat strain, thankfully. Problem is, especially with like groin injuries, same exact thing. Hamstrings a little bit as well. You have to just rest, and there's really nothing. There's nothing you can do to it. You sit in the training room, they rub it, they massage it, you heat it, you ice it, and you don't do anything. You can't start, you just have to wait. And that's the worst thing about these injuries. You just have to wait. So you don't know when Luis Gil is sitting there and they're just kind of like, all right, like it should have been long enough. Like let's flip a coin, start throwing. And it's sometimes those guys feel it, sometimes they don't. And if they don't, they just will slowly build up. And then one day you just have to say, hey, you got to let a ball go and find out. And that's the hard part about these injuries. There's no real kind of defined timeline. It's just basically rest and let's find out what happens.
Sam?
David, this past week, we celebrated what is probably one of my favorite holidays in baseball for sure. Maybe the best holiday in baseball, when everybody trots out onto the field and wears one of these. They all wear the same number. It's the one day a year we get it on April 15th, so that would have been Tuesday. Just tell me about kind of what it's like playing on Jackie Robinson Day, some of your favorite memories, and how cool it is to see everyone in the same uniform on the same day.
So one, just so everyone knows, we all don't wear a Washington Nationals 42 jersey. I don't know how, but just make sure that's out there. One of my favorite days in baseball. I absolutely love it. Opening day, and beginning of playoffs, All-Star game. I love these days. I love the 4th of July games. But the Jackie Robinson Day is just a special day, especially how much it means to like America as a whole, but baseball in particular. It's so cool. I played in a time when not everybody got to wear it. You had to request it. And a lot of times you don't, It's an awkward thing to request it if you're white. Let's be honest. And so it's one of those things I always wanted to be a part of, and I wanted to do it. But I understood what it meant for other baseball players when they made it across the league. That was like my joyous day. Like walking in the locker room and seeing the 42 and getting to put it on. It still gives me goosebumps right now because it just means so much more than just a baseball game, and to be able to match my teammates. That meant the world to me, and it's so neat. I love how baseball does it. It's so unique to any other sport. I love it.
Tell me about Clayton Kershaw for a moment here. Talking about the Dodgers. Let's talk about Clayton Kershaw here for a minute, who's, the Dodgers are trying to get him back. Sam and I were talking earlier in the week. He actually thinks the Dodgers haven't been playing that well. I think, given the fact they're coming off a World Series, the trip to Korea, all that stuff, I'm okay with the way that they're playing right now. I wanted to get your thoughts, though, on Kershaw and at this stage of his career and sort of the way they're taking their time with working him back into a position where he can help this team.
Yes, they should be taking their time because where is he going to go? Even when they have injuries in the pitching rotation, guess what, Bobby Miller? Here you go. You're back in. Now, yeah. I'm not wild about their rotation as it is. Sasaki, we've seen ups and downs. We still haven't seen that just more pitches, more than 4, like 5, like give me some real outings, some real starts. Bobby Miller, again, only 1 start, so not a whole lot to go from there. We know he has talent. We know a ton of talent. And then Glasnow, it's not like he's been lights out by any means. But the same thing is, what are you going to do? Send Glasnow down, send Sasaki down, like move Bobby Miller down? Where is that going to go? So take your time. And at the same time, I'm not expecting a whole lot. I'm not expecting a whole lot of the 37-year-old, and what is he going to do? Be just punching out the world? Don't get me wrong. I believe in him. I will never necessarily bet against him unless it's the playoffs, but it's not like he's going out there and just dominating the world like a Justin Verlander at 42. We haven't seen that out of him lately in the last couple of years. So it's like, okay, it's going to be serviceable. It's going to be good. It's going to be a 4 or 5 in that rotation. But again, where are you going to move? Are you going to move Dustin May? No. God, no. Are you going to move Glasnow? No. So that's why, to me, from a Dodger standpoint, take your time. Take all the time in the world. And if he's going to take something in the bullpen, I don't see that as a serviceable at 37 years old. You're finally going to move him to the bullpen and get anything out of him. That's my problem, is that he signed with the wrong team. Because he's, from a Dodger standpoint, and I'm sitting in the front office, I'm not putting Clayton Kershaw in my rotation right now. I just can't.
David, obviously a team that has massively underperformed so far this season is the Braves. And I would venture to say that the Brewers have slightly underperformed as well when you kind of look into the numbers around that team. Both of these pitching staffs have struggled mightily. Specifically with Milwaukee, it's a staff that last year we came to think of as the Rays of the National League, a pitching factory. The same could be said about the Braves, right? Look at the Reynaldo Lopez project that they've undergone over the course of the last 2 seasons. What are these 2 teams doing so ineffectively, or is it as simple as they just don't have all their guys?
Especially the Brewers. They don't have all their guys. I mean, that's the simple one when we really look at it. I mean, they never really did have all their guys. They just keep losing guys. But at the same time, when you got Savali and Cortez hurt right now, what are you going to do? You're going to sit back, and that's 3/4 of your rotation. And so that really hurts with them. And then when it comes to the Braves, it's more the starting rotation that's been struggle. The bullpen's been middle of the road, but we've gotten so accustomed to the bullpen being one of the best in baseball. They've got 4.45 right now, so it's not bad, it's not good, so it's middle of the road. So when the record they have, I think they have 4 wins, like 4-13 or something like that.
5-13.
Hey, all right, 5-13. I'm not sitting there and blaming that bullpen, but again, the bullpen's not going out there and pitching like a team that's going to compete with the Braves and the Mets. Compete with the Mets and the Phillies and those type of teams. So they're not pitching on that level by any means. So to me, Schwellenbach's been great. Strider will be awesome. I need the other guys.
David, we got to go. See you later. All right, coming up in 10 minutes. Where would the best landing spot be for Shadeur Sanders? Not where he will go, but where should he go? What would be the most optimal situation? We'll talk about that coming up in something to consider, but let's talk about some hockey. The playoffs, they're here. Yeah, there's another night of regular season games, but it doesn't really matter because the playoff matchups are set. Or at least the playoff teams are set. And our friend Dennis Bernstein is here from thefourthperiod.com, SiriusXM NHL Radio, to lend his insights. All right, start in Dallas, where, I mean, look, this is a tough loss for Dallas if it's any sort of, considerable length of time with Jason Robertson, lower body injury during their regular season finale against Nashville on Wednesday night. What do we know?
Yeah, he walked out of Bridgestone Arena, Nashville with a brace, looked really uncomfortable. Certainly, I'm going to discount it for games 1 and probably 2, and then you take it from there. On top of Miro Heiskanen not being in the lineup for the first round because of a knee injury suffered a couple of months ago. They were in trouble beforehand. Now they're more in trouble. I liked Colorado with Jason Robertson. I like them even more now. So it's a heavy loss. Now, Tyler Seguin is coming back. And Jason, that's you start to see more propensity of players being rested in the NHL. Before, down the stretch, nobody ever rested. Now you're starting to see it, and here's an example of why.
0-5-2 in their last 7 for the Stars. What's gone wrong?
Their defense isn't. They miss Heiskanen a lot. Their depth guys sometimes don't score. It's the worst time not to be playing well. So I didn't see 0-5-2 coming. But again, they to me, they're a really solid team, Jason. But I don't see them a Stanley Cup contender, winner because of Ottinger and net, and the defense, other than Heiskanen, isn't great. So it's a very, very powerful offensive team. But when you take a 30-goal scorer out like Robertson, it's going to be a big test for Dallas. If they get through that one, then they can get by anybody. If it's going to be no Heiskanen and no Robertson in Dallas, and you can beat Colorado, they could beat any team then.
Before we get to the big dogs, some love for the Montreal Canadiens and even the Ottawa Senators. But the Canadiens, I mean, what were they? They were like the second worst team in the league back in December, and now here we are, and this team's in the playoffs. The resiliency is amazing.
Yeah, great coaching job by Martin St. Louis. They inject this kid Lane Hudson into the lineup, and he's going to be the rookie of the year, and is putting in numbers nobody has really seen from an assist standpoint. It's a great story, and it's a great story in Ottawa. And I will say this also. They were 9th, but it was a great story for Columbus. I think either one of those teams that get in, it would have been great with the Gaudreau tragedy at the start of the season. To be that close was a great accomplishment. But I'll say this, on the flip side of that, playoff games at Bell Center in Montreal, I've been there dozens of times. It's going to be, the atmosphere last night, if people watched that game, was amazing. Game 1, it doesn't matter who they're playing, the Leafs, Caps, anybody. It's going to be amazing as well. It just adds to the intrigue of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So it's going to be great to see the playoffs back in Montreal.
How much does it hurt the playoffs when you got teams like Boston and the Rangers and some of these big market teams that are not going to be a part of the postseason?
Well, it might hurt the ratings, but they have a long-term contract, deals with, they just signed on 11 for 11 years with Sportsnet. I guess it hurts, but you might pick up new viewers as well. Look, Game 7, Edmonton, Florida, if I told you that 10 years ago, you'd tell me that 3 people would watch, but everybody watched. So I think it's more about the competition and how great the game is than any particular city. Are there certain more interest? Yeah, but look, Chicago, they stink this year. The Rangers were a disaster. Like the teams that missed it, Boston's a really bad team, Jason.
Yeah.
So I don't mind those teams not being in because, to be frank, they suck.
Fair enough. Let's talk about the top seeds in the East in Washington and Toronto. What is the biggest danger for those two teams? Because we see top seeds get picked off all the time in the NHL. What's the biggest danger for those two teams?
I think for Washington, it's to be overconfident because on paper, the Habs, it's look, they've already made their season, right? So this is they're playing with house money. Right, so I only if you're overconfident and maybe an injury pops up and maybe Logan Thompson, I don't know how healthy he's going to be, the starting goaltender, so maybe Charlie Lindgren. But there's a lot of maybes there, and even if they came true, it'd probably be 5 or 6 games. Toronto's a different story. That's a rivalry. It's a blood rivalry with their cousins from the same province, the Ottawa Senators. And, Jason, if anybody looked, Ottawa beat Toronto 4 times this year. They're 4-0. So, and it's funny, all the teams that we talk about on the cusp, like Buffalo, Detroit, and Ottawa. One team got a goalie. Ottawa, Leeson Allmark. And what happened? They made the playoffs. This is a dangerous look. It wouldn't be as dangerous as facing the winner of Florida and Tampa, but they should not tread lightly the Maple Leafs. This is going to be a difficult series for them. And some people are picking the Senators, and I don't think it's such a bad pick.
Real quick in the last minute, Winnipeg and the Vegas Golden Knights. And by the way, if at the beginning of the year I had told you the Vegas Golden Knights were going to have 110 points, you would have had me peeing into a cup. I don't think anybody thought this team was going to be as good as it has been. The Kings have been really good at home all year, nearly unbeatable there. What do you see in the West when you look at the top seeds?
No, you're right about the bounce back of the Vegas Golden Knights. Thought they would be better, but that season was great. Top seed, look, Winnipeg better be careful of Minnesota. And it's funny, Jason, like the Canadian goalie is playing for an American team in that series from the Four Nations, and the American goalie is playing for the Canadian team. So they kind of swapped, but it's a dangerous series for Winnipeg. I think it's a little bit easier Minnesota against Vegas. And LA, if LA is ever going to beat the Edmonton Oilers, Jason, it's going to be this year. They have the better team. McDavid says they're not banged up, but they are. They're going to miss Matthias Ekholm, who's their best defenseman, right? This is the year, if you're ever going to place a bet on the Kings, it will be there. They have the better, bigger, deeper, and badder team. This team has a little bit of chip on their shoulder, so they're set up to win in the playoffs. But again, Connor and Leon can do amazing things. It wouldn't totally shock me if Edmonton came out of the series, but I don't consider them a legit contender because when you look at the supporting cast, it's not as good.
Dennis Bernstein, it is one of our favorite times of the year. The NHL playoffs are here, the Stanley Cup playoffs. We look forward to talking to you throughout. Always appreciate you, my friend. Be well.
Always pleasure, Jay. Thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
We're coming back with more Sports Wrap, something to consider next. Welcome back to the show. Coming up in 10 minutes, it's Odds and Ends. Let's talk some football and something to consider, Sam Yarnow. We did a topic yesterday on Travis Hunter talking about the comps between him and Shohei Ohtani as transformative figures in their respective sports. Today I wanted to talk about Shadeur Sanders and kind of dig into the idea of there is the idea of where he may land. Anywhere in the first round. He's not going to go to the draft in Green Bay. He's going to do his own private thing. But as much as it might be about where he will land, where would be the best spot, Sam, is what I've started to try and figure out for Shadeur Sanders. Who, look, depending on who you talk to, there are people that think he could be a really good NFL quarterback. Obviously, his stock has dropped as people started going through the film and started working through, this off season, and trying to nitpick and find holes in his game and whatever it may be. But the question I'm asking today is, where would be the best spot for him to land from a development standpoint, from a growth standpoint, in terms of a chance to win? Do you want to let him sit for a little while? What's the best situation for him going to be? And when I say that to you, you say...
I do think it's the Saints at number 9. I think it's what makes the most sense. I think, to me, it's where he will be put in the best situation, position, and location, quite frankly. That's a lot of shuns there, if you think about it. So here's what I mean by that. Position. I think that being behind someone who has hardcore, solid, been to the playoffs experience as a starting quarterback in the National Football League is more valuable than anything right now. I mean, hey, look at Jordan Love. Hello. And I know everyone's saying that, but even away from Jordan Love, look at Josh Allen. He has had an older quarterback even behind him every year he's been in the league, from Tyrod Taylor, who was influential in how Josh Allen runs the football, all the way through their quarterbacks over the last couple of years, Matt Barkley being one of them, right? Guys who have been in top positions and just aren't necessarily in that position anymore in their career. I think David Carr, David Carr. I think Derek Carr is a great example of a leader and a guy who could teach Shadeur Sanders what he needs to be in the National Football League, even if that's from the bench. Because think about what we know about Derek Carr, folks. He is a family man, wants the team to win kind of guy, right? Like he wants everyone to work together as a family towards one goal of winning and ultimately winning a Super Bowl. We saw that in Las Vegas, and we saw it when he was healthy at the beginning of his New Orleans Saints career, or even at the beginning of this last season. I mean, think about how good they were through 2 weeks. We thought they were Super Bowl contenders. All right, outside of that, look at the weapons that would be around Shadeur in New Orleans. Rashid Shaheed being the mainstay in all of that. They've got the weapons, they've got the talent, they've got the position behind him, and it's a smaller media market. That's what I meant by location. He's not going to get a ton of attention in New Orleans, Jason.
I'll go a little outside the box. I like a lot of what you posited there, but I'll go a little outside the box. And when I say this, I'm gonna get an eye roll or a head shake or something like that. I'm gonna say it's Las Vegas. And you know why I'm gonna say it's Las Vegas? Bunch of reasons. One, Tom Brady, who's already worked with him, is one reason. If you believe in the idea that the Raiders are on the verge of trying to turn around that franchise because of the presence of Tom Brady, then to me, for that reason, Las Vegas makes sense. I'll give you another reason. A lot of people are going to say, well, they just signed Geno Smith to this big contract for 2 years. First of all, the year 2 hit on that contract is not nearly as big as the year 1 hit on that contract. So much like the Atlanta Falcons did, bringing in a Michael Penix and shocking the football world, even though they had just signed Kirk Cousins, I could see the Raiders doing something similar here and saying, we're going to go get Shadeur Sanders as a potential future insurance policy on Geno Smith playing like a 35 or 36-year-old quarterback, which he is, as they sort of try to move forward. To me, for that reason, the Raiders kind of make sense as sort of a dark horse landing spot if you're that organization and you're trying to think of life beyond Geno Smith. And much like you could say, quiet spot in New Orleans, maybe Shadeur wants the louder spot. Maybe Dion wouldn't mind. Boulder and Las Vegas, not that far from each other. Maybe for that reason, Vegas makes sense, Sam.
All right, you ready? I'll go even further outside the box.
Okay.
I'll one-up you on outside the boxness.
All right.
18 overall to Seattle.
Ooh.
Sam Darnold's got experience being a backup. He's got experience being a starter. He's at a point where he's shown, like he did last year, that he can lead a team, right? Either from the front or from behind.
Yeah.
Shadeur Sanders to the Seahawks is interesting.
Wow. Does he really fall all the way to 18, though?
People are talking about him falling to 21 in the Steelers, man.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he fell to 21 in the Steelers. I think somebody's going to pull the trigger on that. I really do.
I got to find out what the odds are for Seattle to draft our boy Shadeur Sanders out of Colorado. I wonder what that commute's like, Colorado to Seattle. You're a West Coaster. How far is that?
Colorado to Seattle, I'm not sure. A couple hours. We're coming
32
back.
32 to 1!
Oh, my goodness. Odds and ends are right around the corner next. All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Thursday. A reminder, off on Friday from the regular version of SportsWrap. You'll have SportsWrap's Best Of. You may have seen our conversation with Clint Hurdle last week on the show. You just saw a tiny fraction of that conversation. We will have that in its entirety for you in that special Best Of edition. Maybe some other surprises as well in that Friday edition of the show. Don't forget SportsWrap weekends on this affiliate. And if it's not on this affiliate, make sure you look around on the dial. You will find it somewhere else. SportsWrap with Jason Page, the podcast. If you have not subscribed yet, go and do so. Available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Amazon, Odyssey, you name it, we are on all of them. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is on fire. Go and check that out. over on YouTube. Clips from the show, all sorts of goodies for you there as well. Without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. It's the end for Lee Corso. Just his career. He's not dead. Sam got an alert on his phone today and thought he had died. Lee Corso is still very much alive. Sam was like, I got an alert on Lee Corso. Oh, no. He's alive. But he's not going to be doing game day anymore. He's retiring in August. Sam Yarnell, Lee Corso, a college football institution.
Yeah, all-time bad job by ESPN on the reporting of this, because every single notification that was sent out, tweeted out, yada, 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 said, breaking news, Lee Corso, ... I cannot be the only one in
Really?
This,
is that what it said? That's clickbait,
in this
baby.
country. Well, yeah, because the notification's too long, so it can't all fit in a little screen
Clickbait.
where they're notifying you.
Click.
So it just said, breaking news, Lee Corso, ...
Click.
So, you know, obviously, I can't be the only one out there who was like, all right, well, this is the worst. But yeah, no, thankfully, he can finally retire rather than be forced to. It's crazy that he's been on College Game Day since they started it.
Yep.
I mean, that's insane, Jason.
Yep.
I think it's like 4 decades with the ESPN. Just really, really cool to be able to give a year-long farewell tour to such a legend of TV sports media.
Yep. Final broadcast will be August 30th. He is going to be 90 years old on August 7th. All the best to Lee Corso, as I said, an institution when we talk about College Game Day and college athletics. All right, Serena Williams says she would have gotten a 20-year ban if she had done what Yannick Sinner got in trouble for with the PED stuff, and it was, you know, he wasn't supposed to use it. He didn't know, his masseuse or his trainer, whatever it would be. Serena Williams said she would have gotten a 20-year ban for that, Sam.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yannick Sinner, from everything I've heard from the few people I know or have spoken to, I should say, inside the world of tennis, it seems like no one really understands how he got away with all this, but they're all just kind of letting it happen. So I don't disagree with Serena. I'm just glad she said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, well, she's at a point in her life where she can pretty much say anything that she wants.
Yeah, what are they gonna do? Like take her name off the walls at every single major championship?
Exactly. Last but not least, I did not know there was a golfer named Happy Gilmore, but apparently he plays for Ball State. There he is on the screen. And what, Sam, he's going to try to qualify for the U.S. Open? Is this real?
Yeah, he's playing in, I believe this weekend, he's playing in a U.S. Open qualifier. He's a freshman on the Ball State golf team, like you said.
Please.
And so he's playing at Oakmont along with Tony Romo, who's also in this U.S. men's qualifier. Blades Brown, the youngest U.S. amateur medalist. James Pyatt, who was the 2021 U.S. Am champion at Oakmont. Aaron Hicks, formerly of your beloved New York Yankees.
Hits the ball a mile.
JT Miller, who currently plays for the New York Rangers. And Danny Woodhead, a former NFL running back. So lots of names along with Happy Gilmore in contention at, where did I say? Oakhurst.
Oakmont. You said Oakmont?
Oakmont, right?
Could they have picked an easier?
Spot,
could they have picked an easier course?
US
That's a tough track that they're playing. I mean, if I'm really trying to qualify for US Open and I have the means, I'm traveling to a location where maybe it's a little bit of an easier course. Oakmont's not an easy track. Those guys are gonna be struggling out there. You know, Tony Romo's good. Aaron Hicks hits the ball a mile. A lot of people recognized him as one of the best baseball players playing golf. As a matter of fact, I used to make the joke all the time when he was playing with the Yankees, especially late in his Yankees tenure, that he probably was better suited to be on the golf course than he was a baseball field because he didn't do anything for the Yankees late in his tenure.
Danny Woodhead, too. I believe this is his second year in a row trying to qualify for the U.S. Open. And if I'm not mistaken, the guy got pretty freaking close last year. I could be totally off on that, but I believe I remember looking it up, and I think he got pretty close to qualifying for the U.S. Open last year.
Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out on Netflix, by the way.
Free marketing.
It's great marketing. Yeah, Happy Gilmore 2 coming out on Netflix sometime in the next, I think, month. I think it's out around Memorial Day. Have to look. It's going to do it for us on the show today. Enjoy your 3-day weekend, Sam. We'll see you back here on Monday. Best of Sports Wrap tomorrow with Clint Hurdle. Thank you to David Aardsma. Thank you to Dennis Bernstein. Thanks to you for watching. We'll see you all later.